Yo, welcome back to Fighting with Friends. It's your boy, Brother Guy, back again with another preview of, recap of One Friday Fights 148 and UFC Seattle, where we saw Israel Adesanya get beaten by Joe Pyfer. I see it's caused a lot of uproar amongst the fans on social media, but we'll get into it into this video, obviously, with all the recaps of these fights. Before I do so, please like, share, and subscribe. And I want to say a big thank you to all of you guys that has tuned in to our live watch-alongs over the weekend. I wasn't available to crack it this time, unfortunately, but AD was there and held it down really nicely for us. So big ups to him, big ups to all of you as well that has made that so much possible for us. So without further ado, as always, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with the card. What we are going to begin with today is one championship and not necessarily the UFC, even though the UFC's got some good stories to talk about, some good finishes, crazy card actually. But I think I'm going to start with one championship because this was also a very interesting card. A couple of bad calls from the referees, if you will. Some robberies, some of the way people look at it. But I think ultimately some really good fights to break down. So I think let's get straight into that, guys. I'm gonna bring up one championship on screen. I'm gonna move it to that size. Actually, no, I'm gonna move it to this size. Yeah, let's keep it like that. And then I think we can start from the top of the card. Where we saw Kongchai beating Mehrdad Khanzadeh. I thought this fight was quite cool. I thought it was a nice back and forth between the two guys for the first round, I'd say, and then pretty much after that, Kongchai just took control of this fight. I mean, like I said, I had Kongchai in one of our parlays. Unfortunately, we didn't hit anything on this Friday fight squad, but that's okay. You know, it happens. And like I said, there's some calls on this fight. There's some judgment on these fights. It kind of left us all thinking, how did they get to that? And trying not to look at these fights biased, you know what I mean? But yeah, with this fight in particular, Kongchai beating Mehrdad, the biggest takeaway from me on this fight is how did Kongchai not get a contract? And I know. I had this conversation with Tetsuya early 2025, maybe late 2024. We had the conversation around Kongchai, and he was saying that Kongchai should go on a much longer win streak. But we had the conversation just before he lost to Ramadan Undash. And prior to that loss, I think he was on a 5-fight streak. So I was like, he's beating everybody. He then loses to Chat Payak, and I was like, to Ramadan Undash in a fight I thought he won, by the way. But then we obviously know the knockdown rule changes everything. But I mean, he beat him up badly over 2 rounds, and I think the first round Kongchai lost, but I mean, round 2 and 3 pretty much made the fight look one-sided, terribly one-sided. Anyway, in this fight, it was kind of similar in the sense that Mehrdad dangerous in the first round. I mean, he was cracking some big shots on Kongchai, had him backed up a little bit, and did a good job in making Kongchai worry about those powerful shots, right? Powerful looping hooks, if you will, whether it's to the body, to the head. He was throwing them with full intentions. I did say in the preview last week before the fight that I said Mehrdad's going to have to do something more than that to win this fight. You can't just go in there and use heavy looping hooks, you know, with damaging kind of shots. It's not going to work against Kongchai. If you look at the fight, and I always bring it up because it's a fight that really made me question the rule set of the knockdown 10-8 knockdown rule. Is Kongchai in that fight against Ramadan Undash, right? Ramadan Undash is not like Mehrdad in the sense that he doesn't just throw looping shots, but he does mainly box. Primarily, he just boxes. He just throws heavy shots, a little bit faster than Mehrdad, in my opinion, but still heavy and commonly from the right side. And then he has like a nice dangerous left hook that he kind of spams to the body or to the head, right? But that's all he was doing. He was just looping these shots into Kongchai in that first round. Then Kongchai found his range, and he was just blasting body kick after body kick. And it's so much to the point where Ramadan Undash lost the right arm after that fight. His right arm was so cooked. He was in a cast after that fight for about a few months before he had got back to training again. So he basically lost the arm from getting kicked in the arm the whole time. Like his bicep was fucked. Like Kongchai took it out completely. Because if Ramadan Undash did not do that, he would have lost a couple of ribs as well because the shots were coming to his body. So he had to just tuck it in. And by doing that, it forced Ramadan Undash to fight with the left hand only, which is why he was spamming those left hooks, but it wasn't landing. He only had one half of his body after that from taking those kicks. And it happened after the first round already. Round 2, it was even worse. Round 3, I don't know how they gave it to Ramadan on Dash. But anyway, and that's what was happening in this fight. I felt that Mehrdad, he needed to use, in my opinion, maybe stay in the clinch a little bit longer, attack the legs a little bit more with his inside or outside leg, just occupy Kongchai's legs, and then you can kind of take away some of his best weapons, which is obviously the left-sided kick, right? But he didn't do that. He just wanted to wail there and throw some big shots at the Kongchai, and Kongchai just kept it at his range. And every time he blasted a body kick or inside low kick or a left high kick, Mehrdad had no choice but to block or take it. He didn't necessarily have a way around it. And as the rounds continued, Kongchai started introducing clinches, elbows, left straights, body shots. His boxing was sharper. He started landing a little bit more because now he had Mehrdad worrying about the left kick. So he was hesitant to now go into the pocket because he's going to walk into a kick every time, right? So it just shows you the level of the game, right? I like Mehrdad. He's young. He's a fun character. He's powerful. But just like John Lineker, and I said this all week last week also, just like John Lineker, I know John Lineker won titles in MMA. I know he did. It's fine. We all know he did. But in the fights, in a game of Muay Thai or even kickboxing, that you can't just overly rely on heavy looping shots. It's going to make fun fights for the fans. It's going to get everybody locked in to want to watch his fights because it's going to be fights for the casuals. But at the same time, that particular fighter in Muay Thai kickboxing is not really going to get to the title. You know, I said the thing I used last week was the Alex Ferguson phrase that's so famous of strikers win your games, defense win your titles. And I said the same thing over here. Like Mehrdad, that boxing style is always going to warrant him or get him bonus winning performances, right? He's always going to look for those knockouts. He's going to get fans off their seats. But it might not get him, high chance won't get him to the title. It won't. Because when you get to the top level of the game, fighters don't just throw looping shots and look for knockout shots like that. There's a lot more strategic than that. It's a much higher level. You have to build up to that knockout shot. People are using all different types of weapons. That's not just boxing. So it changes everything in the fight. It changes everything for him. So Mehrdad, in my opinion, needs to start evolving his game. And what I would like to see from him going forward is let's add a nice hard low kick in there. Let's push him to the outside leg and also inside of the thigh. I want to see him introduce that into his game because those particular weapons are simple enough to damage opponents, but also set up powerful boxing. If he can introduce that into his game a little bit more, people are going to be a little bit hesitant to fight against him. They're going to be like, hold on, I can't actually just blast the kick at this guy. I can't just, put him in a clinch. It's not going to be that easy because now Mehrdad has got different weapons that can set up that devastating shots. Because I do feel in strawweight Muay Thai, I do think that his style and his power can translate carry over into this division, and he can become like a Song Chanoi of the strawweight division. He can become like that. People are going to be worried for his power, not only because he hits very hard, but because he sets them up fantastically. That's what he needs to be doing, in my opinion. In Kongchai, doing what Kongchai does, and I'm saying it the whole time, guys. Talent-wise, IQ of the game in this strawweight division of Muay Thai, he is. It's just a matter of time before we start considering him to be top tier. Honestly. I remember DSPV was saying, how can we start getting a contract? I completely agree. When Dash Brothers got a contract in half the fights that Kongchai did, purely because they're putting on knockout performances, like they're knocking people out every time. And the fans are going crazy. They pull in the crowd. So let's give them the contract. Kongchai has fought 17 fights, including this one against Mehrdad. 17 fights on the Friday Fights card. 11 wins. Right? 11 wins and 6 losses. I'm thinking to myself, dude, the only other fighters in one championship on a Friday Fights events that are putting in numbers like that are your champions. Your champions. You know what I mean? So I feel like he needs to get a lot more respect by the promotion, in my opinion. And if they really want to put him in a contact fight, give him Ramadan on Dash again. He's contracted. He hasn't fought 9 since beating Kongchai. I'm saying give Ramadan on Dash and Kongchai another shot. Let him have the rematch. I feel like Kongchai get him in the rematch. Then give him a contract if he wins that fight, which I think he will, by the way. But what I'm trying to say is Kongchai's next fight has to be for the contract. Has to. On championship will shoot themselves in the foot if they don't realize what they have in someone like Kongchai. He's potentially a good star in that strawweight division. You got the Pitch brothers. You got the Ondash brothers. You got the Adam and Alifs. You got Barboza. It's a very good division. And in my opinion, you got the Payak brothers as well. In my opinion, I think Kongchai stands toe-to-toe with all of them. Kongchai, not to mention, obviously, he's the champion, right? It's a very good division. It's a very, very good division. Oh, and you got what's his name? Ahmedi Al-Jamari, the younger of the Al-Jamari brothers. Another good, talented fighter. in my opinion, Kongchai stacks up really well against all of them. In fact, he smokes a lot of them as well. I feel like you should be considered to be contacted very, very soon. You know what I mean? Knock it off. We got a contact after his first fucking fight. And look at him now. I just feel like Kongchai is showing growth over the years and he deserves a contact. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. As for Mehrdad, I think he's gonna hang around for a while. I feel that he needs to evolve his game, and then he's gonna get a lot more opportunities than just fighting these cards. But if you think about Mehrdad, his last few fights in one championship and fight squad has either been co-main or main event. So that's something to look into in terms of like where do you think he goes next? Meaning that he's probably gonna get high profile fights consistently enough to make him, become that potential star. But I think this fight you must definitely look back at this fight and realize, okay, there's levels to the game I need to get to. A very classic saying, but it's true. And I think Mehrdad will realize after this fight when he watches the tape back, okay, there's so much more I need to add to my game than just going in there and power shotting people. Because Kongchai took control of this fight early after that during that first round, and it led to the point where Mehrdad wasn't able to really translate, let his power land the way he wanted to. Kongchai was just too smooth for him, too easy. Just knew how to get away from all those shots. So well done to Kongchai. I definitely want to see him get a contact. And I want to see him fight against fighters that are either contacted or right there teetering on that line for a contract. Give me your thoughts, give me your opinion. You know where the comment section is, guys. I'm gonna keep it moving to the next bout. Pardon me. All right, this is a fun fight. Krai took on Valerie Strungari, and I must say, I think this is how you guys. I was able to watch this fight live with you guys. I was able to make it for the main card when we did this live watch along. I'm gonna say this now. I've gained so much more respect for Valerie Strungari after this fight, because at least in this fight we got to see what he's all about. The fight against Sanit was one of those fights that left us all going, how on earth did that happen? It was so confusing, right? Then he took on a fighter that, in my opinion, I think Krai and Sanit puts on a good fight. And I almost feel like Sanit against Krai would be closer than what we see against when we saw Sanit versus Valerie. I feel like Krai is high level. However, I think Sanit will test him. Which is why it made this fight so confusing to watch, because then it's like, this is a different Valerie, different fighter. Because in my opinion, he took on one of the top guys in flyweight right now. And then Krai, after winning this fight, was on a 5-fight win streak right now and taking out some good names. Right, fantastic fighter is Krai, masterful of the southpaw. In this fight, he had to. What he had to do in this fight, in my opinion, was also use the clinch a lot, because when they were on the feet, he wasn't actually pulling away from Strungari. Krai wasn't pulling away. The fight was fairly even. If anything, I felt like Valerie had the bigger shot when they were out in distance. Yes, Krai was lost in those inside. The left body kick was good. It managed distance for him. He threw some good teeps. He had very sharp 1-2s, but he would only pull the sharp 1-2 out after Valerie would land the overhand right. And Valerie's overhand right was with cool intentions. I think he cracked Krai once in the second round with it. And you can see Krai was like, holy shit, what the fuck was that? And he needed to move, and he popped up the 1-2 and moved again, and he stayed away. So he fought when they were out in the open like this, at range. Krai was definitely firing a little bit more carefully. Like, he was firing, but it wasn't like backing him up and looking confident and moving left, right, and landing a jab and then a 3 to a body. He wasn't doing any of those things. He was fighting a little bit more manageable. Like, he was just like, okay, outland him, but don't get caught, right? And then I felt that when Krai noticed that, okay, Valerie actually has quite immense power, he's just like, okay, I'm gonna put you in the clinch then. And that's where I felt Krai was winning the fight. In every round, he started to stand with Valerie. Wasn't necessarily leading him to success. Then he clinched him. And when they clinched him, it was just then it became one-sided for me. Because then Krai was landing everything I wanted to do. Elbows, clinches, dominating Valerie in the clinch. And Valerie didn't have to get away from it. In the third round, I think late in the third round, there was a nice burst from Valerie to kind of get the fight back. And Krai backed up in the third round. But I think at that stage, what we saw was Krai already bagged basically 2.5 rounds at that stage. Tapered off in the end of the third round, didn't really go too hard. Valerie came on very, very strong in the end of the third round. Had some big power in his shots, good boxing. Doesn't kick enough for me, which is why I felt that he was losing in this fight. And secondly, his clinch work is just like non-existent, which is also why I think he lost this fight. But why I say I gained respect from Valerie, because in this fight he didn't look like someone that didn't know how to fight. He didn't look like this weird NPC character that just got thrown into the video game and now he's in the ring and now you can pick him as a playable character. He didn't look so strange. In this fight, he looked like he was a lot more competent. He looked like he understood how to fight this fight. And that's why I'm saying I'm gaining more respect, because I rate Kongchai really highly. I really do rate him quite high. And Valerie took him to 3 rounds in a fight that made people go, okay, we know Kongchai won that fight, but wasn't that much of a big showing from Kongchai. He didn't really like dominate him. It wasn't like a 3-0 one-sided affair. It was very competitive and almost scary to the point. Like there was moments where I thought Valerie was going to get Kongchai out of there. And I thought to myself, hey, now for that, I'm gaining respect from the guy, because not only did he look better in the 3rd round, but he looked strong. He looked durable. He looked like he's a game opponent. He kept walking forward. He wasn't afraid. Even though he was getting beaten up, he kept going forward. And the only thing I can say for Valerie is work on your clinch, and like, just like Mehrdad, introduce some better kicks in your arsenal. You'll become a more dangerous fighter. And what he has going for him is that he's only 24 years old, so time is on his side. So what I'm trying to say here is that in flyweight, he could be a good fun fight to watch going forward. Now, I don't know if he cracks the top part of the division, because there are fighters that not even ranked that, in my opinion, would make light work of him. For example, Deco in flyweight. Dude, that man looks unstoppable. Surian Lake, another guy that in my opinion would make light work of these guys. Now for Kongchai, he's on a 5-fight win streak, right, without a contract. So who do I want to see Kongchai fight next? Good question, because we had a good division. We had a very good fight card last week. Where there was a lot of flyweight guys on display, and Deco and Surian both won their fights. I would say, let me see, Kongchai throw down with maybe Deco. Winner gets the contract. Who knows? I want to say Kongchai versus Stephen Irving, but Stephen Irving, I think maybe have another fight coming up. I'm not too sure, and I don't know where I saw something like that, but I think he may have a fight coming up already. I don't know. Send another correction on that one. But Kongchai fights for a contract. I'd love to see that. Kongchai versus Surian for a contract. I'd love to see that as well. The only reason why I'm saying Stephen Irving is because that's one of the guys who actually beat Kongchai. But I just feel like because Kongchai is on a 5-fight win streak right now, it warrants a contractual fight for me. That's just how I look at it. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I think Valerie, I'd love to see him fight again. Honestly, I want to see him come back and fight some more. I'm not too sure who, but it would be nice to see him come back and fight a little bit more, because there's something there. But I want to see another 2 more fights before I can make a decision on what I understand about this guy. You know what I mean? But I do think there's something there to look at. Give me your thoughts, give me your opinions in the comment section, guys. We're going to keep it moving to the next one. All right. Up next, we had Bantamweight Muay Thai, where we had Super Jeng. He took on Prampadet and Prampadet. And again, this was a good fight. Didn't see any finishes. This is one of those fight cards where I think we only had two finishes. I think 2 or 3 finishes in total on this fight card, which is not good for out of 14 fights. It's not that good. However, I must say, like, I don't mind it. I don't mind when we don't get knockouts. I know it gets the heart rate pumping and makes you all go, oh my gosh, whatever. But I think as being a fan of fights, my whole life, basically being involved in the sport my whole life, you grow accustomed to enjoying fights when fighters are throwing down for 3 to 5 rounds, and it's like a chess match in there, and also trying to one up each other, but no one's really pulling away. I kind of like that. Yes, you'll get some fights that are very, very boring, which is normal. But I think largely fighters go in there and they put their heart on their sleeve and they want to go out and get the win, and we have to respect that. Right? It's not an easy thing to do. And this is one of those fights where I felt that it was high level from the first round till the end. I thought Super Jeng won every round. I thought he won every single round. I thought he was better than Prampadet. Stronger, faster. He looked more aggressive. But wanted to go forward. You could see he wanted to fight back, but every time he wanted to go forward, he did go forward. Pardon me. Super Jing just backed him up easy with a nice 2-piece, 3-piece knee. Poof, feel that. He didn't like it. The body shots, bang, bang, going up top. Super Jing looks so different, guys. So different. He's bigger. He's just a different guy, and I'm shocked. That fight against Mehrdad for me was the turn of the tide. I was like, okay, Super Jing is not the same person I thought he was. And yeah, this fight was pretty much the fight where he put all that on display. Right, looks good over 3 rounds. Didn't look tired after the 3rd round. Wasn't at all winded. Looked like he could still go another couple of rounds. But like the way he put Khanzadeh down with all those body shots and then the knee, even I think he kneed him 2 or 3 times, bang, 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 backed him up, then did another jumping knee, but to the body, not to the head. Boom. And then Khanzadeh just went down, wasn't able to, well, he was able to get back up, but you could see he was like, do I really want to get back up into this fight? Because his body was cooked after that. But that was only in the 3rd round. I think throughout the first 2 rounds, Super Jing was boxing was on point. And even when they were in the clinch, the knees to the body, he looks good. Super Jing looks good. Not a lot of fights in one, but in the fights that I have seen so far, I've seen evolution in this game from being this little bit of a fighter made out of glass to a fighter that now just looks tough as nails and tall and rangy and just a good fighter. Khanzadeh, I think this was his debut, if I'm not mistaken. So I want to see a bit more from him. What I gathered in his fights outside of one, it's not too bad. It's just a bit of a slow fighting rate for me and comes from bigger gloves. So I think he realized, okay, there's so much more to the game when you're fighting in the small gloves here. So we may not see him back, but let's see. Luxuan's a very good gym, so I'm sure we will probably see him back again. Super Jing, who next? Can't say for sure, but whoever he's gonna get next, I'm gonna tune in for it because I'm watching his evolution so far, and I'm liking it. I'm liking Super Jing's evolution. Let's see what happens next for him. But yeah, his boxing looks even sharper. His shot selection looks much better. His footwork looks good. His defensively game is much better. He can take a shot now. Before he would just go down, but he's able to take a shot a lot better now, which I'm more impressed of. So let's see what One Championship has offered for Super Jing going forward. Now we'll keep. Right, so this was featherweight Muay Thai. We had 2 debutants. If I remember correctly, George Pastor missed weight in this fight, and I think he missed hydration, which was a bit unfortunate. Really looking forward to see what he looks like in the small gloves. Ayad Varachian is powerful dude. He looked fun. He looked good. He looked strong. Doesn't really kick much. He's a bit heavy-handed in my opinion, which is fine. Right? It's okay. I don't know if it's gonna get him to championship level fights, but it's gonna, for the most part, make him get sort of bonus winning performances, right? Because he's always looking for that finish. And in small gloves, if we only striking each other and there's no takedowns, the chances of knocking someone out is very high. It's a very high chance of knocking someone out, which is why I say he will do well. Just like Lenica and those guys, Mehrdad as well. Like, if you guys are heavy, and look at Sulanik. Sulanik does throw low kicks in there, but it's not necessarily like his best thing. Sulanik's best work is when he just runs at you like he wants to take your head off with powerful shots. Right? He's never gotten the contract yet, and he's never gotten a title fight in one. But that style of fights is making him get $100,000 in bonuses. Fans want to watch him fight all the time. He's one of those few fighters that are fighting on contract or fighting on prime video cards. It's not even contract, which is allowed, but you only really get that if you're a guy that really pulls the crowd. And Sulanik pulls the crowd because of that style. Now I would put Ayad in that same bracket like John Lenica and Mehrdad. Their style is gonna pull the crowd because of that. They're gonna walk at you and they're gonna make it this ugly brawl, which they favor themselves in because they got power in their hands and they box really well. George obviously shows me that he's got more weapons to use, but he just wasn't able to do it. I think the bad weight cut and the bad hydration is what also led to him being able to get knocked down so easily. Taking nothing away from Ayad's performance, but I just think that there was another fighter who had the same mistake. Cody Jerome, same issue happened to him. Missed the weight, missed the hydration, couldn't deal with it. It was too difficult. Goes in there against Lumpinee. Lumpinee keeps him, and then he goes down, and he wasn't able to make the fight back. Your body is just so much weaker if you got a bad camp. If your weight cut is shit, you miss the hydration, your body's electrolytes and everything about it is going to get thrown out of order. You're not going to have a good recovery. You might sleep badly. And also sometimes the weight cuts, if you guys don't know about it, because we had Coach Jerome talk about it on our channel and other fighters before, when they go through the titration and weight process, I know it says only 3 hours and we get to watch it live. When that cameras go off after that 3 hours, they're still in the process of doing weight cuts and hydrations. Fighters have to come back sometimes early hours of the morning to produce a sample. And then they have to sleep little hours and then fight the next day. So it's like, it's not necessarily what we see, what we get situation here. So I got the feeling that George's bad weight cut and hydration has led to his body just collapsing in a way that maybe he wasn't as durable as he wants to be. Maybe he wasn't as energetic as he wants to be in there or as tough. You know what I mean? Because to be quite frank, he looked like he was a little bit scared. He looked like whenever Ayad would go forward and put the pressure on him, he looked like he was like, oh shit, what do I do here? For me, that's a sign of a fighter that maybe isn't comfortable with why their body felt during that time. No excuse though. Because you showed up and you were there and you signed the dotted line for a catchweight fight. So he showed up. But I think there's something in that. Ayad, nothing away from the guy's performance. Powerful boxing, sharp, aggressive, took it to him, wasn't afraid of anything. But I will say this about Ayad, like all the other fighters as well, I mentioned that's got a similar style to him. I need to see more weapons. I don't just want to see you rely on aggressive boxing. Now and then you throw an inside low kick to kind of set something up. I don't just want to see you go in there and put heavy hands. Because again, I'm repeating myself, but a more higher IQ with a good weapon, a good array of weapons, they deal with that style every day of the week. They will deal with that power, that boxing every day of the week. You know what I mean? We've seen it so many times, and that's just going to be the name of the game here. So for Ayad going forward, especially in a division where you've got Nico Carrillo dominating, you've got Shadow dominating, Kongchai is still the champion. I know Bampara Koyata is there, but I mean, these are fighters that I feel can make it ugly for Ayad because they got so many different weapons and really great footwork. It's a different ball game. Super Bond, not to mention, sorry, he's another figure in this division. So, you know, Nabil Anand could eventually move up to featherweight as well, and that's another different breed for him to deal with. You know what I'm trying to say? So you can't just go in there and just rely on one move. You have to do more. And that's all I'm going to say from Ayad. But great win, great bonus, well done. Let's keep. So with Muay Thai, we had Kongchai versus Bin Laden. Kongchai making his debut and was successful in this win, which was weird because I don't know how they can say unanimous. Because you can make a strong argument for Bin Laden winning possibly 2 rounds to 1. I thought he did a very good job in the first round. Without a shadow of a doubt, he did a very, very good job at walking Kongchai down, letting the better combinations, heavy low kicks, heavy body kicks, sharp body shots as well with the boxing. He just outlanded Kongchai every moment of that first round, right? Pressure was fantastic. The fakes of the hands, body up. He goes body, then he goes head. There was a hard low kick. He just had Kongchai second guessing a lot of the entries in that first round. Second round looked a little bit different. I'll say a lot more competitive from Kongchai. He fought back really well. I remember watching the fight back live, and I was a bit undecided on the result. I wasn't like, oh, okay, that's a robbery. You know what I mean? Because I could see, well, I'm saying it because I could see that Kongchai came back strong in the second round. And even in the third round, it looked like Kongchai for me was the one that was leading the dance in the third round as well. He was just stronger in the clinch. He backed up Bin Laden. He had very good counters. He was cleaner with the shots in the third round. Second round was a swing round for me because it was too competitive. Because that second round, Kongchai was masterful with the back foot. He allowed Bin Laden to pressure him a lot of the time, but not really making him land. And then the round ended with Bin Laden landing the bigger shots at the end of that second round. So it was like, that second round could go either way, right? You could see a judge giving rounds 2 and 3 to Kongchai and maybe giving round 1 and 2 to Bin Laden and round 3 to Kongchai. And you can also see judges going Bin Laden round 1 and Kongchai round 2 and 3. Therefore, it makes a split decision for me. Because that's what I saw. I saw Bin Laden doing a fantastic job over the course of round 1 and the end of round 2. But I thought Kongchai, once he found his range and distance of the counter on the back foot, he was just too smooth. He actually was a cleaner fighter. And it's one of those common cases of one guy's doing all the work and all the pressure and backing someone up and putting out things, but not necessarily having a high landing percentage. Then the other guy that's throwing a little bit less, but every time he or she does throw, it's landing every time. You know what I mean? So it's like, so who do you give the points to here? And in my opinion, you got to give the points to the person that's landing more effectively. And that was Kongchai in this fight. I thought he had the more effective shots. He had the more damaging shots. and he was just cleaner at it. And whenever Bin Laden was coming forward with pressure outside of the first round, it wasn't really warranting him success because Kongchai was just defending all of it and then moving out of the way and landing big stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you guys think about that one. Let me know in the comment section what you guys make of it. I'm not gonna spend too much time on that fight. As you can see, one championship removed the option to maybe my cursor here. So there you got viewing highlights. Here they removed the option to view the highlights. So as you know, everyone that's watching one championship for all these years, whenever they remove the option to view the highlights, it means that they never really had anything to show. So yeah, that kind of tells you a lot about the fight. Let's keep it moving. Same thing over here. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on this fight. I thought the fight was a little bit more unanimous than what it was split. I thought Felipe Silva had a good job in the first round with some of his submissions, but then outside of that, he was just getting taken down easily every round. Controlled Sato Rizuev didn't do much with control outside of like a couple of hammer fists from top, but he wasn't even transitioning into a full guard. Into a half guard, then back into full mount or into side control, then into mount. He just went full guard. Silva closed his guard, didn't open it. They were both staying in that position for 3 rounds, and then Rizuev just hammer fist, control, defend. Don't let the man get up from bottom. Hammer fist. Oh, okay, cool. Defend. Don't let me get control. Hammer fist. That's what was happening for 3 rounds. So I remember people were saying in the chat, it was like, if this is going to be how we score wins for MMA, then it's going to become a dying sport, because that is what we've seen commonly now, right? Since the retiring of Khabib, we've seen a massive influx of your Russian-based or Russian region-based fighters, style of fighters coming into MMA, right? There's a massive influx of them since that time. And they kind of dominated the sport, and they still are dominating the sport. But now it's starting to become a little bit stale because people are starting to find a way to stifle them a little bit. But then it's making fights to become like stalemate. Nothing happens. So people are going, because I can tell you guys already know, you know exactly who you are that subscribe to our channel when you come into our live watch-alongs. Whenever we get these kind of fights, all of you guys are like boring. Poatan leaves and goes for a walk and go buy some stuff, and he comes back and he's like, oh, this fight is still on. So like fans are starting to, take the investment back and be like, I don't want to pay for this anymore. You know what I'm saying? And that's not even Silva's fault as well, because he was fine, but he just couldn't get out of it. He couldn't get away from it. So yeah, that's just what we get in this fight going forward. I think the onus is on both guys going forward. Like Sator Rizuev, for fighters like him, they have to do a little bit more. You can't just lay there the whole time, because at some point it's gonna get caught up to you where the judging is gonna change, and they can't score you for stuff like that anymore, because you're not really putting damage on your opponents. You're just holding them there. And there are other sports for that. MMA should start reconsidering how they're gonna change the rule system or the scoring system, because if you're gonna score someone just for laying and praying, then in my opinion, let them go. Let's just have pure wrestling matches then. Just pure wrestling matches where it's like, okay, it makes sense to give points for that. But if MMA damage is your number one rhetoric and you got top control but you're not landing any damage, then it's like it's difficult to give score for that. Especially let's for example, if Felipe Silva was landing maybe devastating elbows from bottom and he cut Sato Rizuev open with those shots, right? And then Sato Rizuev for 3 rounds did what he did in this fight, where he was able to control Felipe but couldn't land a damaging blow. Then you ask yourself at the end of the fight, okay, so who had damaging shots in this fight? It's Felipe Silva. So now you're gonna have to score the guy who's on bottom. So that completely rechanges, or it goes against the way the system works, right? How people score judging. Because Dominic Cruz, which I'll get to later, he said that in UFC's fight card this weekend, that passed last weekend, he said that judging they're no longer scoring wrestling the same way anymore. You can't just take someone down and then control them there. You're not gonna get those points anymore, because you need to make something happen out of that. There needs to be an added level that you must do to get those points. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's a big thing for me in MMA going forward. It's not just in one; it's in UFC. It's everywhere around the world. That these Dagestani-based wrestlers that don't really transition into the next position or look for a sub, they just they have the ultimate and the best control in the world, and they rely on that mainly to get their job done. And if the scoring system doesn't change, they're going to keep doing that. And if fighters don't do anything else to get away from it, they're going to keep doing that. So it's not so much their fault. They just found a way to beat the system, and they are. And I say we, but everybody else around the world needs to do something a little bit more. They need to do something more to the game to not allow that to happen. So let's see how the sport of MMA grows going forward from here. I don't want to talk so much about this fight, but yeah, that's pretty much what happened there. Nothing major happened in this fight. So we will keep it moving. Let's go. I'm gonna get the gong back for the next fight. I really enjoyed this fight. Right at the mid-Muay Thai, we saw Nong Fasai making a return after losing to Gabriel Moram. Wang Ziqing also made a return after like a while out now. I think her last fight was a while before this one. Just double check here. She fought against Olivia Dabrowski. That was November 2025. Yes, it was last year. But I mean, gaps. You know what I mean? So what we had here, we had Wang Ziqing, who was primarily a boxer, taking on Nong Fasai, who is very good everywhere. Actually, she's a very well-rounded fighter. I thought Nong Fasai won the fight. I picked her to win the fight from the beginning. I thought she looked very good in this fight. One thing I did notice from Nong Fasai is that she looked bigger. Right? She was fuller. She looked more jacked. She looked more fun. The fight against Gabriel Moram, I was like, Nong Fasai, that's not her. That's the AI version of her. It didn't look real. She just looked off in that fight against Gabriel Moram. She looked like she didn't want to pull the trigger. She looked scared. She looked slow. She looked like she just was on the back foot the whole time. She didn't do what she normally does to her opponents, right? In this fight, Nong Fasai looked like she was the bully. There was a smile on her face. She was hungry. She backed up Wang from the beginning. And in big boxing combinations, good tips whenever Wang would come forward to stop her from coming in. Good outside low kicks. When they got into the clinch, she was stronger there as well. Just basically used a full array of Muay Thai. Good elbows when they were in tight, which is mad because she's a shorter fighter, but she was just stronger than Wang Ziqing in every avenue of this fight. And this is a good one. And I really enjoyed this fight. I really enjoyed it because Nong Fasai faced someone that was taller than her and had a lot of aggressive boxing, a lot of combinations that she was throwing the whole time. But Nong Fasai did what she didn't do against Gabriel Moram, which was offset the rhythm from Wang Ziqing, right? Offset the rhythm, right? There was moments where Nong Fasai would throw a deep to the groin of Wang. Just kicked her in the groin. Would stop that front leg or the back leg. Now you can't do anything. And she's like, oh, now my balance is off and I got to rethink how I want to get in there when I'm boxing. Attack the front leg whenever Wang would sit down on a punch. Just fought a very masterful fight. And I want to see that from Nong Fasai going forward. I want to see a fight like that all the time. I don't want to see this taking out the back foot and like, oh, okay, I'm gonna wait for a counter. I don't like that style from fighters unless you are dead one leg, where you are just built your entire career on the back foot style. Superbun on the back foot, you build your whole career fighting back foot, right? That's good. Nong Fasai is not that fighter, and she does her best work when she's the one going forward, like most fighters, right? And sit in rhythm. I want to see her do that. I want to see her more comfortable in there. I don't want to see this like, oh, okay, now I'm gonna try and wait for a counter on the back foot. You're not a back foot fighter. It's just not your style. So this is what she needs to do. So when she gets a fight against Gabriel Moram again, which she will, right? Because they're 1-1 now. Get that fight back, and then fucking walk her down. If she walks you down, you punch her in the. Especially Nong Fasai, who's always going to be the shorter fighter. You don't have to target the head so much. You know what I mean? I feel like if I fight against Gabriel Moram, I felt that if Nong Fasai had to just rip the body and rip the leg kicks a lot in that fight, it would have forced Gabriel Moram to almost freeze up and fight Nong Fasai's style. And then you can catch her in every possible way. In this fight, she would never allow the taller fighter and heavy-handed boxer to control her in this fight. And that was simply because Nong Fasai was attacking the legs, offsetting the rhythm, and hit the body a lot. She hit the body a lot in this fight, which is like, there you go. That's what you must do when you're fighting taller fighters. And Nong Fasai is always going to be the shorter fighter in this division. She's always going to be the shorter fighter. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see her do going forward. In a career. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section about that fight. Let's keep it moving to the fight that I thought was a bit of a rub. Okay, strawweight kickboxing. We have Xing Yang took on Shota Takezue, and yeah, again, I know it says split decision on the screen, but again, I watched the fight back, watched it live, watched it back again. Good scrap, but I don't think Shota won this fight. I don't think he won this fight. I may just give him round 2. because he did change the style in round 2, which I thought which was very good from him, but it still wasn't enough, in my opinion. So basically, in the first round, dude, and Shota is much more experienced than Sheng, right? But Sheng at 18 years old, dude, the dude just looked from round 1. He walked him down. He walked Shota down, and it was just too smooth. Boxing was too fast. He's got a mean left hook to the body that he throws, which is beautiful. He was even tripling up with come up with the left hook, then goes to the right straight, good inside low kick, good outside low kick. He was just good tips. He was using high pressure with good volume and good target selection to win that first round. And again, and this is one thing I also want to talk about in kickboxing and Muay Thai. I feel like we should allow 10-8 rounds outside of knockdowns. Because in this fight, and a lot of fights that we watch, it was one-sided. Like Shota didn't have anything in that first round. Like he was under the gun, he was backed up, he was getting beaten up badly. He had no return. He had no return for Sheng. So for me, in MMA, if someone gets taken down and they get beaten up badly, or even in the striking department and they get beaten up badly, right? Sometimes people score, or there might not be a knockdown, but they get beaten up badly. There's no knockdown, and then the fighter that's getting beaten up still gets taken down as well. That's 10-8. It's a 10-8. There's nothing you can do about it. It's 10-8. If I take you down and I put you in a crucifix and I smash you up there, I don't knock you out though, but you don't retaliate or you can't get away from it. 10-8. There was no knockdown, right? I think with kickboxing and Muay Thai, we need to consider this now, because beating someone up for 3 rounds is a difficult thing to do. And to beat him up without any return is even more difficult to do. So therefore, the score should be rewarded a little bit differently and not just a 10-9. I feel like a 10-8 should be warranted here. Because if you're going to wait for knockdowns, it's like, it's like, okay, cool. But then, is that the only way you can get 10-8? Is that the only possible way that you can get a 10-8 in this discipline? If that's the case for me, I find it a little bit boring, honestly. Because I imagine if Sheng Yang had to get a 10-8 from that kind of performance in that first round, right? And then it also changes the way fighters fight completely, because now you don't want to get beaten up like that, right? You don't also just want to rush for knockdowns. Because now, like, for example, Shota gets a knockdown in the first round, and then Sheng does what he did in the second and third round. Those are 10-8 rounds, in my opinion. So it's like we need to look at these things a little bit differently, because sometimes fighters are getting robbed, in my opinion, from performances because of the ruling system. So Sheng fucked him up first round, easy. It wasn't even a close contest in that first round. Second round, what Shota did differently in the second round was started introducing a lot more high kicks. Right, he threw a lot more heavy-handed, heavy high kicks, right side and left side. And I like that he did that, because it stopped the entries from Sheng so much. Now Sheng had to block first before he enters, right? And that moment that he blocks, and then as his block is done and he wants to re-enter, Shota already has another move lined up for him. Nice liver shot, boom, over and right. And that changed a little bit of how the fight went in the second round, which is why I'm saying maybe round 2 to Shota, even though I still got a 3-0. Shota, that was a good adjustment for me. I like what he did there. It changed the way Sheng had to fight that second round. Third round was a repeat of the first round. It was like, okay, now in the third round, Sheng didn't even worry about the high kick anymore. He just walked right forward and attacked him. And I think the coaches did a good job and told him, if you enter that pocket, the high kick suddenly can't get there where it wants to get, because now the distance is closed. There's no range for him to do it. Now you're in boxing range. And that's where Sheng was doing his best work again, ripping the body, coming up to the head, moving in and out, sharper than Shota Takazue. So I had a 3-0. Even though I commended Shota's in-fight adjustment in the second round, which I thought was phenomenal, I still thought he lost the round. And he also lost the third round. So obviously the judges must have given 2 rounds to Shota. 2 judges must have given the fight to Shota, and 1 given it to Sheng, which I thought was the incorrect decision, because then again, on social media, people were commenting on our X posts. People were talking about it in the One Championship live chat, saying like, dude, like, what is the rule set here? How do we score fights? You know what I mean? It's a bit confusing. It really is a bit confusing, because in this fight, I don't think Sheng lost. I thought he was the smoother, higher landing percentage, more aggressive, took the fight to Shota, backed him up every single round. It's just like you can't score against that. And he had the more damaging shots as well, so you can't really score against it. There wasn't a single moment, even with Shota's in-fight adjustment, there wasn't any moment that he actually rocked Sheng. He didn't put him down. There was no moment where he even hurt him. So I was just like, so what's warranting this man getting the points? I don't get it. Anyway, I thought that fight was a robbery. And I thought a lot of you guys agreed, which was fair. But it's just like Nick Atkins says, that is subjective. Not every judge is going to agree on the same thing. Even the referees as well are not all going to agree on the same thing. But then that just means that the rules are liquid, meaning that they are. We can change them then. If that's what we're saying, right? If you're saying all three of the judges all have different opinions about it, then then the rules is like moving the goalpost, because the rules should be the rules, and we all should adhere to that rules. Even if I got different understanding or different way of looking at stuff, that I can't change the rule. The rule's still the rule, and I feel like that kind of trumps the subjectivity of the sport. You know what I mean? Because then if referees or judges are doing that, then they're kind of low key ignoring what the rule said actually is. If we're saying, okay, but you saw it from that angle, I saw it from this angle, therefore it's not the same angle, so we're looking at it differently. But then does that mean the rule is different then? Are we looking at the rule set differently? You know what I'm trying to say? And I find that maybe we should get the fourth judge in there. Maybe we should get a fourth round if it's split decision. You know what I mean? Like, something needs to change to get more definitive things. But what's happening here now is that we see in fights where one fighter is completely dominating the fight and still loses, and then you go to yourself, holy, what's going on here? I think what's upsetting fans a little bit more is that it's not happening once in a while. It's happening every single week. At least 3 fights on a single card every single week. That's happening. Now fans are really getting annoyed at this. It's really putting people off now, because it's like, no man, this is way too consistent. Missing of weights, hydration tastes bad, and I know that can happen. It's part of the sport, but it happens every single week, every single fucking week. So something needs to change. Fight decisions are wrong. It's just like, nah, what's happening? Because you can't tell me that 3 individual people, their decision outweighs millions. So either the judges are wrong, or millions of people around the world who can simply research the rule sets are wrong. If that makes sense. Let's keep it moving. We had bantamweight kickboxing, Varian Palit took on Ranma. I really enjoyed this fight. Now, I did think this fight was unanimous for me. I thought in the first round there was a knockdown from Ranma. I remember having a bit of a discourse with the guys in our community online, which was nice and cool. I like the conversation, which again brings me back to our conversation. How it's also subjective, right? It's like, how do you all get to the point where what is the exact rule? None of us can veer away from that rule. Like that's what we have to agree on. You know what I mean? Because in this fight, I remember a lot of the guys in the comment section were saying that it wasn't a knockdown. I watched the fight back again before doing this recording, and Ranma caught him clean, guys. They showed it in slow-mo as well. Valian, it wasn't a slip. I would argue, which I'll get into in the moments now, that Lamnangunek getting knocked down by Panji, that was more of a slip than it was a knockdown than this one. Right? Because I watched the fights back. I had to watch the other fights back because I didn't watch them on Friday. So I had to watch them back. Valiant Pilot, in that moment, I remember he was still stepping off to his left. So there was an exchange, and he was still stepping off to his left a little bit. And as he did that, Ranma came around and landed a beautiful left straight. Like, he just turned it in, turned the knuckles, and he caught him flush, bro. He caught Palit flush. Boom! And that shot caught him so much that Palit, he actually turned when it hit him. I turned him around like that. And then he was going down. He went down, and as he was going down, he turned his body like that again to get back up to his feet. But dude, it wasn't like he was going down before the punch and like off balance and there I'm going. It wasn't like that. He was on his feet and he was stepping off to his left. He was just circling out like that and took the shot. Turned him around. Right, knockdown. Yes, it was flash. I get it. But what does flash knockdown mean? Do we count flash knockdowns in terms of, do we do an 8 count for a flash knockdown or don't we? Tell me what the rule set is in the comment section, please. Because by the virtue of the term flash knockdown, you knock down. You know what I mean? It's not flash trip, flash tackle, flash slip. No, it's not called that. It's flash knockdown. You were knocked the fuck down. That's what it's called. And if you're not counting that, then why do we call it knockdown then? You get what I'm saying? And if it's a flash knockdown and we don't count on it, does it still warrant 10-8? You get what I'm saying? Like, these are all questions that we all sort of use and don't use when we make our arguments. And in my opinion, the literal meaning of a knockdown is when something or when someone hits or kicks you with something and you fall to the ground, right? Now, where it starts to become a little bit tricky and fine lines become a little bit blurry is when, for example, someone comes in forward with a heavy high kick, and then the opponent push kicks them, and they fly back and fall to the ground, which is also technically a knockdown, but they will never count it as a knockdown. But the literal meaning of the word, that's also a knockdown, but it will never be counted. Right? So that's why it's like it's like football when it comes to VAR decisions. It's like one week it's a handball, one week it's not a handball, but it's still hitting the hand. And it's like, okay, but what warranted, what doesn't warrant it? And that's what makes it so difficult for officials and so infuriating for audiences. You know what I'm trying to say? That's what becomes so tricky to understand the sport. But in a nutshell, for me personally, in this particular fight, in this context, Valiant Palit fell to the ground. Palit fell to the ground in that first round because he got caught with a left straight and it did drop him. It may not have hurt him or rocked him and made him dazed and confused, but he fell to the ground because he got punched in the face, not because he got tripped or he was slipping on invisible air. On air, he got hit and he fell down. Now, that being said, the remainder of the fight, Valan didn't do enough for me to get back the rounds, but he was in there. He's a bit more of a counter fighter for me, and he was in there. But Ranma, I did say in the preview, I only took Valan Pilat on a parlay, on a pick because it was an underdog pick, and I thought, okay, cool. I like looking for underdogs on the card that's likely to get a win. And I thought Pilat, if he stays in there, he's gonna use his power to be able to able to catch Ranma when Ranma comes in. But that's like a what if. It's like a big what if moment for me. In terms outside of that, I thought Ranma was going to beat him every time because Ranma's style is a bit of a high pace, high volume nature. At Balan, what I saw on his tape, doesn't really like. He's a kind of guy that wants to fight slow, methodical fight, and Ranma is not that kind of guy. Ranma don't fight like that. Ranma's a high pace. He's on you like white on rice. He don't give you a time to even think. I always felt that the more he's going to do that, the more he's not going to give Balan Palat a chance to even get a rhythm. That's what we saw in this fight. So well done to Ranma. Good job. We're approaching the hour mark, so I'm going to keep it moving a little bit quicker now through this fights. We're still going to get through to the UFC as well. We had Sanrak versus Dead Wang Lek in the bantamweight fight, and I thought this was probably fight of the night for me. It was top high-level fight. Sanrak out of the southpaw stance, Dead Wang Lek out of the orthodox stance. They have fought before, and it was a repeat of the first fight. It was exactly the same. The only difference was this was 3 rounds, that was 5 rounds. That's it. No, nothing else really changed. Sanrak looks a little bit more muscular than he did in his last few fights, which I like. But Dead Wang Lek is just a masterful fighter, guys. Another fighter, in my opinion, that should be getting contacted soon. Possibly even in this year. I'm just looking at his record quickly to see what he's on right now. 8 wins, 5 losses. Not a lot of... Actually, in fact, no finishes in his career at one championship. But still, good fighter, right? Lost to Astamjan Otikov. Lost to Asadullah Iman Ghazaliev, who's now pretty much going to be a champion at some point. Lost to Nakarab twice. And that's it. He beat Taiki Naito, who's fighting against you, who was pretty much number contender matchup, if you think about it. Right? He beats Taiki Naito. Twice, by the way. Beats Brakia, beats Wuti Krai, loses to Simon Yoshinari, and beats Sanrak. So it's like, he's not losing, he's not fighting against no-name brands. Right? He's fighting against the best guys. Beats Kong Suk as well. Dead Wang Lek, at 23 years old, in my opinion, over time will become a very, very difficult fighter for people to beat because he's defensively sound. On the back foot, there's no one else that can tell you that fights as good as he does on the back foot outside of the champions. Right? Dead Wang Lek is just masterful at it. He lost the first round. He definitely lost the first round. Sanrak was strong and aggressive and landed very heavy shots on him in the first round. Lovely body kicks, good combinations, right? But Dead Wang Lek, the second and third round, found timing on it. Good right straights from Dead Wang Lek. Sharp elbows to counter him, like heavy combos. In fact, there was 2 moments in that fight that I watched where the elbows actually rocked Sanrak. It made his legs go a little bit limp. He was like, oh shit. But he held on for dear life, right? I could tell, hey, okay, Sanrak is catching, Dead Wang Lek is catching with big shots, powerful shots. Yeah, so I just felt that Dead Wang Lek and Dead Wang Lek's right body kick. It's not common that you see Dead Wang Lek go to the head with his right, goes to the body a lot with it, which is good, right? I felt that was stopping Sanrak a lot. Sanrak, whenever he did get aggressive and came in tight, Dead Wang Lek just timed him, wrapped him up, eat that right elbow, moves, get out of the way, body kick, sit down, right hand punch, slips and rips, catches in the clinch again. So basically what Dead Wang Lek was doing in the second and third round He timed Sanrak's aggression with the right elbow, clinched him up, fucked him up in the knees. Like Sanrak didn't want to be in a clinch with him. When they separated, he at range, right body kick, right inside low kick. He spammed that to the point where he's like, now you need to come forward. If you don't, I'm gonna kick you the whole time. And then when Sanrak comes forward, eats an elbow, eats a clinch, takes a knee, right? And that was masterful for me. I thought he won the fight because of that. The first round was where it was tricky for him, but I mean he survived really well. And yeah, 31 naked 23 guys, top fighter, top fighter. Another guy like Kongchai, who I think that possibly 2026, if not 2026, depending on how their fights go, we could see them becoming a contacted fighter for one championship for sure. Sanrak, unlucky, breaks the win streak, but I don't think it puts him like down the rankings. I think he's still in and around there for contactual conversations going forward. Now, this is the one that seemed to have got everybody upset because it's Lanang Lek, right? And everyone thought that he lost the fight. I'm going to say this now, and I think that Yuan Pengji actually won the fight, which is big. Everyone's going to go like, oh my God, what the fuck, right? I like Lam Nangon Lek, one of my favorite fighters to watch in one championship. So I'm not afraid to say when I thought the guys I like lose, right? Yuan Pengji, not a fan of the style, not a fan of his vibe. To be honest with you, I think it's a little bit wishy-washy, but the style was executed brilliantly, right? He stayed bouncing on Lam Nangon Lek. He never really allowed Lam Nangon Lek to land the big kicks that he normally does, right? He wasn't successful with that as he would like to have been. He was throwing it, but it wasn't. He had the most success with it in the second round early, but then he kind of tapered off again. Round 3, he wasn't landing the big stuff in round 3. Round 1, he gets knocked down. Right now, this is where it gets funny because I don't think it was a knockdown. I don't think it was. Reason being is because in that moment, Lamanek was literally midway throwing the kick. So he was literally on one leg while he got punched. He threw the kick, it landed. He's on one leg, and he takes a 1-2 to the face. Boom. But it doesn't hurt him, right? The one is southpaw, right? So the left punch lands. Boom. Doesn't do anything to Lamanek. But it comes at such a fast pace that as Lamanek is starting to move back to bring his leg back to put it down, he eats a right hand. But the right hand comes in such a way that it lands, doesn't do anything, but Yuan Pengji pushes further, like he extends the punch further. Like, you know, when you extend your hips and your shoulders, usually a little bit more of the reach on your punch. He does that. So there's no more power from it, but it creates that extra push. And that's what pushes Lamanek down to his bum. So watch the fight back. When he lands that shot, Lamanek just goes poof. He puts himself up again. It wasn't like he wasn't rocked in any shape or form. He just bounces back onto his feet. And if he stops the thing and says, knockdown, which is again, flash knockdown, right? So, and I've seen fights, we've seen countless fights on the same card when there's a flash knockdown, the referees don't count it. They just wait for the guy to get up and they say, chop, fight again, right? But the guy got knocked down. Why aren't you countering it? Why aren't you counting it? But in other fights, where fighters go down via a knee, they just go onto the knee and come back. We're going to count it for a knockdown. Then we're going to give you 8 count. So it changes every single time. The goalposts are getting moved every time. And that's what's upsetting fans. Because now it's like, what is the fucking rule then? So yeah, I don't think Lamanek got knocked down. I didn't count it as a knockdown. Yes, he got punched in the face. I know I just went through a whole thing about what's her name? Ranma and Velian, right? But that one was more of a punch knockdown than this one was, because Velian wasn't throwing a kick. He wasn't on one leg. He wasn't off balance when the punch was happening. He ate that punch full. It was a full left straight to the face that he ate, and it dropped him, and he got back up. Lamanek took a shot, but it was in the moment of the momentum of him recoiling a kick. So he was on one leg. So it's like there's no balance anyway. He's gonna go down. You can push him with one leg. He's probably gonna fall anyway. You know what I mean? So I didn't count it. But this is where I think he lost the fight, because the remainder of the fight, Lamanek was walking him down the whole time, but never could land that left masterful kick of his, right? Couldn't land it. I think Pengji was moving a lot and threw a lot of shots, a lot of different stuff at Lamanek, which was landing a lot of the times. It wasn't really hurting Lamanek at all, but it was landing the whole time. So much to the point where it forced Lamanek to box, which he doesn't really want to do. Lamanek doesn't really want to box that much. He wants to kick the fuck out of you. He can box, but it's not something he wants to rely on to win fights. He wants to use the boxing to maybe land a big shot, but to actually set up my kicks. That's what he wants to do, right? And he forced Lumpinee to fight that kind of fight, which is now Lumpinee's B style, right? It's like he's now used plan A, it didn't work. I'm gonna go to plan B, and that's his boxing. And when that happens, when you make a fighter go to their plan A, plan B, and plan C's, they're basically losing because they need to find a different thing to fight or to use to get back into the fight. So I thought he lost the fight because of that. Obviously, the knockdown counted. But I think the biggest takeaway for me here is I don't want to see Lumpinee fight flyweight again. It's just not something. The commentator said something during the fight, and they were saying he just looks a little bit off the pace. And I completely agree. And I was saying that when I did the preview last week, which was on Wednesday last week. I said, that's 2 days before the fight. I said, Lumpinee flyweight makes me a bit worried for him in this fight. I put him on a parlay because it's Lumpinee, right? And I saw Penji's fight, and I don't know how he's such a high-ranked flyweight kickboxer in the world. He's not even, doesn't look that good to me. Lumpinee, he's not the same guy at flyweight. He's just not the same fighter. At bantamweight, yes, he's a little bit undersized if you consider that Nabul's the champion, right? Or excuse me, Rambolek is the champion, and both of them for me are so much bigger than Lumpinee, right? He's a little bit undersized in the division, but he just looks better there. He looks healthier at bantamweight. He looks stronger. He looks like he's durable. He looks like he has a lot of energy. In this flyweight, I've never seen Lumpinee left body kick look that slow. It was so slow, and I was like, oh, why is he fighting in this division, bro? I don't like it. Not a fan. So give me your thoughts, guys. Give me your opinions on that fight. What do you think about it? I thought Lumpinee looked a little bit underwhelming for me. It's not a typical display from Lumpinee. You take nothing away from Yuan Penji. Yuan Penji did what he had to do. He even said it himself. He said, I don't have a lot of power. I don't knock people out. But I outwork them. I outvolume them. I outstrike them. That's what he did in this fight. That kick, that bouncing side to side stance, in and out bounce, Lumpinee didn't know how to deal with it. And I felt that Lumpinee had to do heavy outside low kicks. It might have changed the fight for him a little bit, but he never once attacked the leg from Yuan. And I thought that's why he lost the fight. Because fighters like Yuan that's so heavy on the front leg and they're bouncing so heavy on the front leg don't switch stances really. Dude, if you take out that man's front leg, he ain't bouncing nowhere. He's gonna force to box with you, and that's where you can. And he's like again, now he's using his plan B and plan C. You fuck him up now. You know what I mean? And Lumpinee didn't do that. He didn't attack the leg throughout that whole entire fight, which is why I felt that it was a missing key component in the fight. It could have changed the fight for him. But I think he lost. I know TCB, I'm sorry. AD, I'm sorry. All the guys in the chat, I'm sorry. I thought Lumpinee did not win that fight. That was the right decision for me. Give me your thoughts, give me your opinions in the comment section. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Let's keep it moving. I'm gonna have some more stuff. All right, up next, Anwar Cisneros took on Kongchai, and he lost this fight by unanimous decision. Yeah, correct decision for me. Anwar Cisneros barely threw any kicks in this fight. Barely checked any of the kicks in this fight. In fact, a lot of the outside low kicks from Kongchai was beautiful. A very typical way to beat a boxer. Kick the front leg. That's their primary source of the energy comes from there. You take out their front leg, they can't stand on it. They can't put a lot of pressure on it to land the big power shots. And that's what Kongchai did. Big plus for Anwar that he still stood in toe-to-toe up until the third round, but needed to do more for me. Really used his elbows. Pardon me. I just felt like, just like Mehrdad, if Anwar Cisneros had a decent deep kick, like a Misako Kigeri deep kick to the stomach, if he had done that more frequently, if he's got that kick in his arsenal and more outside low kicks, he doesn't have to do fancy up kicks or fancy high kicks. If he could just attack the body a lot, inside outside low kick, sets up that boxing. Now you got this guy in your world. Kongchai only used fundamentally a few things, right? He used hard outside low kick, hard overhand right, clinch elbows, clinch knees. That's what he did in this fight. He rinse and repeat those three things in this fight, and it won him every single round. Stronger than Anwar in the clinch, dominated him in the clinch. Like, it was ugly to watch. And they were out at range. The outside low kick was damaging Anwar's front leg. And then when they got into boxing range, Anwar would throw a nice two-piece, or a nice cross combination, hit the left body shot, He'll throw that there. But then he'll get tapped to the overhand, like, twang! You need to make him go, oh, shit. And he'll cover up now. And then when he's covering up, suddenly you're in a clinch. And now you're losing in the clinch. So I think Anwar in this fight got exposed. But that's what we felt. That I remember on his debut fight, I was talking to DSPB about him, and I still said to him that I like what I saw. Good boxer. He's long, he's rangy. He's a very good boxer. I just think that he needs to add more to the game going forward. Else he's going to get found out. And now he got found out. So I think going forward, he's going to have to look at this fight and realize what he has to change. Right? Check the low kick if you have to. Check that low kick. Add your own kick into it to set up your boxing. Then you're going to be a lot more devastating in there. But well done to Khanzadeh. I thought he fought a good fight. I thought he fought the best game plan he could fight for a fight like this. And he executed it really well. He deserved the win. I know Cisneros. I want to see him more in one championship. I really do think that he can become something good for this sport. But he's gonna have to add more to his game than that, than just masterful boxing. Because he even landed some really good level shots to the body on Khanzadeh, which I think could put a lot of people down. It just didn't do enough. Khanzadeh was able to just walk right through that and fuck him up with those leg kicks, bro. So well done to Khanzadeh. Fought a good game plan and won the fight masterfully. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I'm gonna keep it moving. This was a fight that was also they were fight of the night next to Sandrak in Day One leg. I think this fight was second choice for me, or if not even first choice, depending on how you look at it. Adam Rizuev took on Shoma Okamura, and this is why I like this fight so much is because I've been crying out for this division to get more stacked. Because JDB is your champion. I don't want to see JDB withering away on the bench because there's no contenders like Christian Lee, for example. I want to see him fight frequently. But he needs contenders. Those two kids, Shoma Okamura and Adam Rizwan, are those guys going forward. Like they can become something really phenomenal for this division to challenge JDB. And won't be anytime soon. I think maybe early next year we could see that these two names, more so Shoma, become title contender. And I say it before I continue. After watching the fight between Shoma and Rizuev, I was like, Okamura reminded me of like 20-year-old Takeru. It was just carbon copy style, exact same way. The teeps to the body was exactly the same. The calf kicks were exactly the same. The boxing looked almost identical to Takeru's. The only difference is Takeru had power. He would put you out, and he's technically a bigger guy. He puts you out. Okamura doesn't really put you out, but does he look phenomenal? I don't know. I'm not all in on split decision. I couldn't give a round to Adam. I thought he was competitive, but I just couldn't find a round to give it to him. I thought Shoma won every single round. And there were moments where Adam cracked Shoma with big shots, but it wasn't like consistent, man. It was like big shot every like 45 seconds is a big shot that he lands. Right, where Okamura was just tagging him with everything, every time throughout the fight, backed him up every single time, cracked him with big boxing shots. I remember talking to DSPV about it, and he was saying that he just feels that Shoma is slightly undersized for the division. I don't think so. I think he's not undersized for the division. I think he'll look good at atomite as well, but I want to see him stay here for now. I think he puts up a good fight against Zhang Pengman, for example. I think he puts up a good fight against Ributolo. I don't think he's on JDB's level yet, not anytime soon. I think if you put the Alif brothers, like Alif and Adam, in kickboxing, I think he puts up a good fight against them. Maybe even beats. I think he beats Adam for sure. I think Alif will be a tricky fight for him. But that just makes me excited for the division. Makes me very excited to see what these kids are going to look like. Shoma Okamura, I think this guy he's got the right stuff. He has the right style. He's got the right mentality. He's got durability. He's got everything around him, and for me, that's going to make him look like a top fighter in the future, dude. Right? He's game for anything, and I don't think there's a lot of guys that are going to be Rizuev size in this division. There isn't. There just isn't. You know, these guys are not that big, which is why I think Shoma Okamura will do really well in this division, dude. He's game for anything. His boxing is super super sharp. I mean, if Shoma had to be in 4-ounce gloves, he's knocking people out. He's knocking people out in this division, bro. I think in the bigger gloves, doesn't carry over the same way, which is why I want to see Shoma Okamura will spam the body work before going to the head. Because yeah, I think he was just so much better than Rizwev in this fight. I like Rizwev though. I want to see him fight some more in one championship. I think Shoma Okamoto's body kick and leg kick set up everything for him. The fact that he fights out of both stances. Oh yeah, that's a big difference as well between Okamoto and Takeru. Okamoto can fight southpaw orthodox easy. And he looks masterful in both stances. His defensive is very good. His attack is very good. Takeru doesn't really go to southpaw that much. I think the most southpaw that you see from Takeru is the TP, but he doesn't really go to southpaw and stay there. Okamoto stays there, and he fought third round in southpaw by the way, and he won that round even better. Yeah, talented motherfucker. I want to see him fight again. Hey, one championship wants to make a Japanese star outside of you and the Yoshinari brothers, Yoshinari family. Okamoto's your guy. Kwak Dan took on Kotaro Tanaka. MMA fight didn't last that long. I think Kwak did okay with boxing, but then got taken down, or he shot and got reversed. And Tanaka just went for a heel hook, and apparently that's his best weapon. Went for a heel hook, and dude, once he got it sunk in, it was just basically night from there. But that's all I really have to say about it. I don't really have much else to add to it. Let's see if this Kotaro guy does something more. Let's see if he climbs the rankings in this division. But that's my time on that one, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna now move over to the UFC, and then we will continue this nice recap for you guys. Let's just bring the UFC up on screen quickly. From there. There we go. All right. I'm gonna low-key speed run this one as well, because I need to got some other things I need to finish up. Okay, so the big question is Israel Adesanya done or not? Seems to be the conversation around the audiences on the social media. People are saying this fight was actually staged. I don't think it was staged. And before I continue, let's just put the note out there that we hit on this fight card. We got 2 underdog picks, which actually made us not only break even, but got some profit back. We lost on our parlay, but that's okay. I think these 2 underdog picks that we had on the fight card was really good. Both guys were more than double your money, so I'm quite stoked on that, which was nice, right? Made up for the parlay loss. Okay, so Israel Adesanya, I can understand why people are saying that this fight was thrown, or it was like a staged performance from Izzy, because just like in Marvel fight, Izzy was beating up Joe Pyfer over the first round. Dude, like, it looked one-sided. And the second round again, Izzy was just doing all the nasty stuff. And then got caught in a brawl, which was strange for people to watch, because I was like, why is he brawling with this guy? Why is he getting caught? Why is he getting hit so much all of a sudden? We basically cakewalked him for 6 minutes. Why is he getting pissed up like this? Or why is he getting tagged so much from Joe Pyfer, who's throwing at a much lower rate? But I don't think it was a staged performance from Izzy, guys. I said this the whole time in our preview last week, which is why I picked Joe Pyfer as one of the underdog picks for the fight card. It's because I've seen enough in Izzy's fights since his last fight with Powhatan. Izzy has not had the same durability anymore. He's still going to be able to outstrike people, right? He's still going to be able to outkickbox you. He's a master at it, right? He's still the best kickboxer in the division, but he doesn't take the shots the same way he took when he was younger. He just doesn't. He's not even that old. I just think his body has gone through so many fucking wars in there that he just can't take the shots the same way anymore. It doesn't mean he's washed. It doesn't mean that he's throwing fights. It doesn't mean any of that shit. You know, it's just a simple storyline that we've all seen throughout the ages of combat sports. When a fighter reaches the pinnacle and then they make their way down the other side of the mountain, the younger fighter that's on the other side climbing up the mountain, whenever they're going to meet each other, the younger guy has more to fight for. The younger fighter has more to fight for. More times than not, the younger fighter is going to win that fight because the older fighter doesn't have to prove anything anymore. The desire is not the same. It's just not the same. You fight him with different reasons. He's just talking about, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to remind you guys. And He's fighting to still prove to himself that he can still hang. Where the other guy's fighting to say, no, I'm going for the title. I cannot lose. He's just fighting to prove something of like why I can still be here. So therefore, he has less to lose than he has to gain, right? So it's like, okay, I don't mind losing then. So that changes the way people perform. If you've done it already, what's gonna make you get up in the morning to do it again outside of I need to prove myself? What more? What more are you fighting for? You know what I mean? And I don't think he's fighting for money. He's fucking rich. He's not fighting for money. So I don't think he was throwing anything in this fight. I just think there was too many chips stacked against him for me in this fight. Not durable enough. In the last 4 fights, everyone was able to drop you. Every fighter put you down. Even Strickland, who we know does not have the biggest punch in the division, but he does have effective punching. He was able to put Izzy down within the first round. First round. You know what I mean? The signs were there for us over the years that he's not the same guy. And Pyfer, super powerful, changed man, doesn't fight the same as he used to anymore. Aggressive grappling. He was still sloppy in there for me. I do think that like a fight against like a DDP, a fight against a Nasruddin Imavov, I don't think Pyfer performs the same way. I think he loses against them. Because he did show me some sloppiness in the fight. However, he did stick it in there and he was relentless with the grappling and was waiting on easy. And then when he was landing his big body shots, his big shots to the head, big counter lifts, he was taking it and he was like, okay, gotta be careful. But then he ended up staying in there long enough to land his big shots. And I was like, that's a big risk. Do what you were doing in the first round. Kick the legs, kick the body, feint on him, make him commit to something, count him with the left hook. You know, Izzy almost abandoned that what he did in the first round and went into a slugging match with him, which I thought was weird because I'm like, hey, is he going to favor Joe Pyfer if we're going to do this? But I kind of wanted it to happen because I was like, I had money on Joe, so let's do this. Joe cracks him really, really hard, like fucks him up with it, hits him down to the ground, cinches in 2 body hooks, puts him on his back, battens him out, ground and pounds on him, and he just doesn't get out of it and gets beaten up by a TKO. Yeah, let me just change this tape, sorry. So yeah, I would say great performance from Joe Pyfer. A bit of a sketchy going out from Izzy, but what I'm saying, it's one thing I also said about this fight in the preview. Izzy has remodeled his style over the last few fights against after he beat Powhatan. He remodeled his fight style. He's not high volume, right? He's not gonna back foot counter you anymore like when he fought against Whittaker, for example. The way he's changed his game was he's a little bit less firing rate, but a bit more accurate and a little bit more weight to his shots, looking for more body attacks. Watch Izzy. He's not in the past. He's always moving. He's style bending on you. Now when he's fighting you, it's like less movement, less firing rate, but a lot more power in his shots. He's targeting specific weapons because he wants to get the fight done a little bit earlier than what he did in the past. I don't know if he can go 5 rounds anymore, right? And that's how he remodeled his fight. And I was saying to my father-in-law, and I was saying, Joe Pyfer, his best shot here, first 3 rounds. If he doesn't get Izzy out of there in the first 2 rounds, round 3 we can see him fade and Izzy's gonna start taking control of the fight. And boy, did he get the job done in the first 2 rounds. Fucking called it, brah. And well done to Joe Pyfer. I did not like Joe Pyfer prior to this fight. Not because of his fighting, but of his personality. I was like, there's something, the man's dark. The devil's got a hold of him. Something's off there. And you see, I didn't even know that he's a changed man. I didn't know he's a born-again Christian. But up until the press conference of the pre-fight conference, I was like, this guy is even giving his life to God. And I was like, what a changed man. Complete 180 to whatever he was like before this. And everybody knows, dude, you don't have to be a completely godly individual or be a completely spiritual individual. But if you practice peace, and you practice love, right, it would put your mind and soul at peace, which I think then makes you a more dangerous fighter. Look, I love Dominic Cruz. I know he talks about love and war, and he prefers to do war and anger and hatred when he goes into fights. I like that, but it doesn't fueling enough. You have to be a more peaceful guy, take you over that edge, that take you further than what anger can take you. And I think Joe Pyfer is going to be more and more deadly in his career as he progresses when he fights with peace in his heart like this. Right? Because now you have nothing to lose. You don't have to worry about anything. No one's going to get under your skin and say ugly stuff about you. It's whatever. Right? I'm just here to perform as the best fighter I can fight. And it may sound like a bit cringe and boring, but a peaceful fighter is a deadly fighter, guys. I'm telling you now. Someone that can control their emotions, controls their stamina, makes them so much more deadly. Look at Mehrdad Khanzadeh, for example. He never hates anybody when he fights. And people are scared of him. He never gets tired because he's fighting with enjoyment and peace. Makes you very deadly. Anyway, let's keep it moving. Unlucky for Izzy. Who does Izzy get next? Personally, I don't think he's gone. I don't think Izzy's done. I I think he's got maybe another year and a half, maybe another year. So that's like what that like 2 to 3 fights, and he's probably gonna think about retiring. But I think Easy in the middleweight division, personally, he's at this stage now where he's welcoming on the Joe Pyfers of the world, welcoming on like the, pardon me, Christian Leroy Duncan, Edgar Rodriguez, Arnold Allen, Fluffy Hernandez. These are the fighters that Easy will be facing going forward. He's not going to be facing against the Drickuses, your Sean Stricklands, your Imabovs. He's not getting that. He's not getting Caio Baralho. He's not getting those guys next, because they next in line for title shots. Right? They in the round robin for title shots. Easy is now dropped out of that, in my opinion. So Easy, Whittaker, Jared Cannonier, those guys who were in the top of the division, they are fighting against your Pyfers, your Fluffies. That's going to be what we're going to see next for Easy. So I can tell you now, next fight for Easy, it's probably going to be Christian Leroy Duncan, guys. If not Leroy Duncan, he's probably going to get Edgar Rodriguez next. Whittaker and Easy are fighting against your Leroy Duncans, G-Rods. That's who they're probably going to get next. Let me know what you guys think. Joe Pyfer is into the top 5 now. I think between Joe Pyfer and Arnold Allen, one of them is going to get DDP. I think it's going to be Arnold Allen that gets DDP. And then we'll probably have Pyfer versus Caio Baralho. I think it's going to be, which I think will be a good fight. Or it'll be Joe Pyfer versus Fluffy Hernandez. Good fight. Or Joe Pyfer versus RDR. But yeah, love the middleweight division right now. Big fan of that division right now. Let's keep it moving, guys, to the co-main event. Fight didn't even last that long. Yeah, okay, cool. So, women's flyweight division, good fight. Number 2 versus number 5, I think it was. I can't remember. Let me just double check that. Women's flyweight. Alexa Grasso was number 3, and she lost to number 5. Hold on, there's no number 4. That's weird. There's no number. The website says number 1 Natalia Silva, number 2 Manon Pirot, number 3 Eden Blanchfield, number 3 Grasso. There's 2 number 3s. So obviously, I think Grasso's number 4 then. Anyway, obviously, the profile is high. It's a high-profile fight, top-ranking woman, and then also a rematch. And I thought Barber was going to do a lot better in this fight. I thought she was going to be aggressive and put the pace on Alexa Grasso, and I thought she was able to do what she did in the 3rd round, but more in this fight from the fight early. But in the first fight, which was many years ago, Grasso was tagging her. And Grasso wasn't even using her best boxing back then. And Grasso tagged her in every single round, right? And in this fight, it was like, okay, Maycee Barber has definitely evolved, but so has Grasso. And yeah, Alexa Grasso, this fight made it look so devastating. I remember sitting on my couch. No, excuse me. I was laying in bed watching this fight with my partner, and I think I was eating something, and I sat there and I was chewing, and Grasso tags her with a nice left straight. And when she landed that left straight, I spat everything out. I was like, what's going on here? Tags her with a nice left straight. Boom! Barber goes down to an arse, spins and goes down. And then even the follow-up, bro. I was telling my part, I was telling Tyler. If this fight was in real life, like if it was on the street, Barber's dead. Like Grasso kills her right there. Like she takes her life right there. Because the way when Barber went down, she landed like this. Boom. Grasso still fucking hits her with the right hand to the face. Simultaneously wraps up a fucking choke with the same arm. Rapid pace. Fight's over. I was like, dude, in real life, Barber is not seeing the light of day again after that. You know what I mean? That's how scary that looked. And the way Grasso, the killer instinct in Grasso, that tells me if Grasso was my wife, someone breaks into my house or our house, I don't even have to pull a gun out. Grasso will take their life very, very quickly. That's how scary she looked in this fight for me. I was like, holy shit. Beautiful performance, easy finish. And it wasn't even a submission finish. It was a KO. And the way Barber looked afterwards, like I remember she was still pinching with the referee, and the referee took her head slowly and like turned her around, and she was like laid there for like a whole round almost. I didn't time it, but it felt like an entire round, like a 5-minute session of her just laying there, and didn't look like her eyes were functioning until there was like a moment I could see her blinking, and the one eye still looked away like that. I was like, okay, cool. She is not that I thought she was dead, because you could see she was breathing still. I mean, she was breathing fine, but the eyes looked like it wasn't even there. And I like that Barber came out and did a video after the fight and said, no, I know it looked like I was dead, but she's fine. She's still very much blurry. She doesn't remember anything of it. But fuck me, Grasso, what a crazy performance. Now, what does it mean next? I think Barber stays at number 5. I think Barber fights probably Rose Namajunas next. It has to. She has to fight down, unfortunately. Alexa Grasso puts it back in the contention for me. I would love to see her go up against Manon Fido again. I think she lost against Manon Fido, right? No, she hasn't fought Manon Fido. I feel like that's the next fight for her. If not Manon Fido, she gets Erin Blanchfield for me. Natalia Silva definitely gets the title fight next. No one can deny her that. But I'd love to see Alexa Grasso up against a Manon Fido. But they're probably going to give Blanchfield that fight first. Right? Let's see. Good time for that division right now, particularly for that top 5. But yeah, let's see what Alexa Grasso does next. I would not be upset if she gets Blanchfield. I think that would be a very good fight for both women. I think Grasso beats her though. And then in terms of Grasso and Manon Fido, that fight for me is a bit tricky. Now I don't know who actually wins that fight. Which is why I'm more intrigued for that kind of matchup. Let's see what Dana White and Co does going forward for that division. But what a performance from Alexa Grasso. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Keep it moving. Michael Chiesa rode off to the sunset in his retirement fight, beating Nico Price. First round sub. All on the Jedi. He called this fight. He actually put money down for Michael Chiesa to get a first round sub, which was good odds. I mean, but everyone kind of knew that was what was going to happen, but the odds weren't too bad for that pick. Nico Price, I don't know what the UFC is doing with him, but they're kind of like paying him money to just stay around to be the guy that everyone beats. I've never seen a fighter, anyone in UFC, my entire life of watching UFC, be this for the UFC. Nico Price never made the rankings, only fights fight night events. The only guy who takes this amount of short notice fights in his life. Dude, he's always taking short notice fights, always taking knockouts, always getting subbed. Now I'm thinking to myself, you've lost so many fights, never put on performances enough to get up the rankings. How are you still at one? Excuse me, how are you still contracted at UFC? You know what I mean? There are fighters that are getting released for far less. How are you still here? And I think maybe he's the kind of guy the UFC keeps around and pays really well and phones him up when they need someone to save a card. Like, we need you right now to save this card. I'm down. And it doesn't care who he's fighting. He's like, just give me the paycheck. I'll take it. It seems like it's coming across like that now for me personally. I could be completely wrong, but that's just what it reads like the outside. So in this fight as well, Michael Chiesa can't take anything away from the guy. He did what he had to do. Once he took Nico Price down, it was just night. Typical Michael Chiesa. It's a naked choke. Chokes him out very quickly. Look there, total strikes from Michael Chiesa, 0. That's all I have to say from that. Let's keep it moving. I actually missed this fight. I don't understand how I missed it, because I was watching the card. Now I'm trying to think back, what did I do? Which maybe I missed this fight. Not too sure. But yeah, we can now we can understand why Rosa was such a big underdog in the fight. I'm not gonna say anything about it. I missed everything about this fight, so I'm gonna just move on and talk more about this fight. This is the other underdog that I bet on, which was Yusri Belgrui. And yeah, he came through for us. Finally, fucking Mansour Abdul Malik gets fraud checked. And I don't like using that term, but I'm gonna say it now. Fraud fucking checked. That's what happened. Because UFC was feeding him all these cans, all these undersized middleweights. He's knocking all of them out. And I'm like, I don't buy into it. I don't buy into this bullshit. I think Mansour Abdul Malik is not the guy. And in this fight, he got found out. He got found out pretty badly. He took on the guy who does not have the same kind of power as him. And I said this all week. I said this all fucking week. I said, Belgrui has got this fight style. It's a nightmare for Mansour Malik. Malik doesn't wrestle unless he has to. I was talking about plan C's earlier and plan B's. Mansour Malik's wrestling, which is first and foremost his bread and butter. He only uses it in UFC when he can't knock someone out, then he wrestles with you. And in this fight, he was getting found out from minute one. Minute one. You see, they kicked him, and he couldn't find a return after that. The amount of calf kicks that Mansour, Yusri Balgrui landed on that from the first round throughout the fight, just like methodically broke his opponent down every single round. Boxing was sharp. He was tagging him. The movement to stay away and get back to range and tag him every time. I thought Mansour had nothing for him. The jumping knees, the clinch knees, the way that he was able to defend the takedowns. Mansour took him down twice. Well, that's his 3 of 8. But it was like takedowns that landed for like a couple of seconds, and then Balgrui just got back up. He used a nice extension over his frame, keep Malik away from him, get his hips back, get back to feet, tag him again, elbow, right, left. Bro, it was a beautiful display. The tip kicks. Malik was spinning out of like Hail Mary attempts to get a knockout, and it just wasn't there in the later round. Look here, total strike 16. And that's because he couldn't get into range. There was moments where he would like throw a right hand, but then run forward. And I was like, bro, why do you look so amateurish? What the fuck's going on here? You know what I mean? Everyone was hyping you up with all these knockouts, and all of a sudden you look like someone that hasn't lifted a fucking punch before. He looked so amateur in this fight. Like Balgrui didn't even do hyper complex things in there. He just did what Powhatan does. He just fucking low kick the shit out of you, deep kick you from out range, use distance really well. When someone commits, you slip off and you off to the right or to the left, catch them with a nice 2-piece or a 3-piece, nice body shot. And over time in the fight, they're gonna fold to this. They're gonna fold to this pressure. They're not gonna be able to deal with it. So well done to Balgrui, dude. Definitely big up for him for the performance. I'm not too excited because of us getting money off him, to getting the pick right. I'm more excited because of how he won this fight. He beat the hype train of Mansour Malik. And it's not like I've hated Mansour Malik. I just don't like it when the UFC promotes a fighter like Mansour or that kind of type of style of fighter, make us all buy into this knockout power king. Right? When I watch Mansour fight, I'm like, first and foremost, he's fighting against guys that don't know why they're in the UFC. Undersized middleweights. Don't have any sort of fight style that can deal with the power of Mansour. And then also Mansour would throw like 1 or 2 shots and fighters get knocked out. And I'm like, he's not even fighting these guys. It looks like he's fighting against people that are lightweights. And he's a middleweight. You know what I mean? It's like, what are we doing here? How is Mansour Malik going to grow from this if he's knocking people out every first round? It makes no any sense. He's not going to grow from this. And the UFC's building him up. And then when he's going to get someone that can deal with him, it's going to be like, now we're going to say stuff like fraud check. You know what I mean? I just feel like they weren't serving him well by doing that to him. Because now you put someone that's not even, like, I like Balgrui, but I don't rate him yet as like the top tier of the middleweight division. He still has to get there, right? But he is technically good. I just thought, okay, he's going to fight against someone that's technically good. Let's see what Malik does here. And he got found out. You know what I mean? Now we're talking about what's next for these guys. For Mansour Malik, I don't really care what's next for him. Just make sure that his next fight is someone that can test him again. Because he has to level up, in my opinion. Who's next for Yusri? I want Yusri to fight against another fighter that's just like Mansour Malik in the middleweight division, who's also getting pulled up in a way that's getting fed all these cans. That is Utuba Gutier. I want Gutier to fight against Balgrui. Because Gutier is also fighting against people that are undersized, people that don't have the skill set to deal with his power, people that don't have any technical understanding how to break someone down that's power heavy and punching heavy fighter. Balgrui is your guy. Balgrui versus Atabay Gutier is the next fight to make for Balgrui. Make it happen. He's going to make another guy get project, in my opinion. Atabay Gutier is also another guy that's big, jacked, this gorilla-like kind of fighter that goes in there, just powers everybody. One-shot kills. I'm like, he's not getting tested. No one's putting Atabay Gutier in situations where he has to do something about it. Everyone is fighting him so scared. They're like, they half-ass their jabs because they don't want to get knocked out by him. I'm like, no, he needs to fight someone that's going to fucking wrestle him, someone that's going to tip him, someone's going to break his leg, someone that's going to put him in positions where he's like, I don't know what this feels like. Daniel Kuma said it on stream, on broadcast for Mansour before the fight started. He said Mansour has never faced someone that's got the kickboxing nature of Yusri. And then when the fight was happening, he's like, Mansour is in trouble here because he's never had to deal with this. So what are they doing with Mansour in training, firstly? And then what UFC is doing by making him fight against these random fighters is the reason why he could look the way he looked in this fight. Now, I'm not saying Mansour is a shitty fighter. I'm just saying the way that he was trained or the way that his career has been going, They've been keeping him away from fighters that can test him, that can put him in problems. And usually put him in problems, and you could see he didn't know how to deal with it because it was something that's completely unfamiliar to him. Same thing with Ateba Gutierrez. If he fights against UFC Belgrui, I'm saying it now, Belgrui's going to be an underdog in that fight. Put your house on it because he will expose Ateba Gutierrez. He'll put him in situations where he has to deal with the calf kick, he has to deal with the tip kick, he has to deal with movement, he has to deal with counters, he has to deal with stuff that no one else has done to him yet. What does he do then? That's what I want to see. I'm not hating on Ateba Gutierrez. I'm not hating on Mansour Malik. I just feel that UFC are not doing these guys any favors by feeding them guys that they're supposed to knock out within the first round. It doesn't serve the fighter well by doing that. They're not learning anything. Ateba Gutierrez and Mansour Malik know that they are strong and big and powerful. They know they can knock people out. They know this. Right? But what they don't know about themselves is what do they look like when they're faced with adversity they've never felt before. That's the big test. And you don't want to have Mansour Malik. It's a good thing he took this loss now and not later when he's on a 10-fight win streak and he's fighting against the top 5 and suddenly he gets beaten in 1 round and everyone's going to go just like Ibaralio. Oh, pro check. Rather you lose like that now so you can learn. I'm quite happy that he lost this fight in this fashion because now I think Mansour Malik will become a better fighter after this. Let's see what happens with Ateba Gutierrez. Give me your thoughts, give me your opinions. Let's keep it moving. Terence McKinney beat Carl Nelson first round KO. I mean, fuck, this fight. Was it even a fight? Now, Carl Nelson, I'll say this about Carl Nelson. I know he looked good in his last fight, but he kind of almost lost the fight as the fight went on, which is why I always felt hesitant to support Carl Nelson. I support him, but to rate him. Pardon me, I always felt that Carl Nelson he never showed me that he's got that killer kick, killer instinct. He's got the image. He puts in that look, that stern look. Every single time it's fight week, he looks very in there, right? But when he fights, it's like, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. The way they fight doesn't match your energy that you're putting into the fight before the fight, right? I always felt that maybe he's not the guy. I mean, the fight against Matt Rivola, he basically knocked Matt Rivola out in the first round. Then they didn't give him the KO. Then the fight had to continue, and then suddenly he looks like he doesn't know how to fight. And I'm like, now why are you fighting like this? Knock him out. You just. I know you get it in the dumps. I know you can get tired. Are you telling me that Carl Nelson in that first round blew everything out in that first round? He had nothing left for 3 rounds? Nothing? That doesn't make any sense to me. You're a professional fighter. So in this fight, I almost felt that, okay, tricky fight, but I think Terence McKinney is going to put him away because Carl Nelson just doesn't have it for me. And then as the fight starts, Terence McKinney just knocks him out early, bro. Puts him down, bang. I remember that we had the replay. You could hear the replay. And Tyler was laying next to me, and she was like, wow, you could hear the thud. Each of those hammer fists, like, boom, 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 boom. Carl Nelson was just like, holy shit. Terence McKinney, that's what you get from him. He's going to either knock you out in the first round, you're going to knock him out in the second round. That's just how he fights. And I think Carl Nelson wasn't going to be prepared to match that kind of pace. Terence McKinney, he's not that kind of fighter. He's a slow, methodical guy. And McKinney wasn't going to allow him to have any of that. So, well done to Terence McKinney, bro. I thought that was a good fight for him. Not too sure who these guys are going to get next. But whoever Terence is fighting in the next best bet, fight not to go the distance. Give me your thoughts. Give me your opinions. Prelims. I thought this fight was fucking insane. Nasser Bahamunis and Tawfiq Musayev. Dude, best fight you would watch in this fight card. Right now, one of the best fights to watch of the year. These kids were throwing down. Blow for blow, shot for shot, takedown for takedown. They were just not giving anything up, which is why it made for a spectacle for the fans. Like, if you want to watch UFC, this is the fight you can use to sell the UFC because they were going toe-to-toe. It made the octagon so bloody. For the remainder of the fight card, they weren't able to get the blood out of there. It was just stain of blood everywhere, bro. I'm not going to break it down too technically because there was just so much happening in the fight for me to really go through it, say what actually, like, who did what phenomenally. Because it just came down to a battle of nutrition, and I felt Tawfiq had more nutrition for me. Like, he had the better conditioning in this fight. He was able to do a little bit more than Nasser Bahamunis in terms of reversing grappling situations, backing Nasser Bahamunis up, cleaner with the shots. Not that Nasser didn't land on him. Nasser landed big shots on Musayev. But I think Musayev was a little bit more crisp for me, which is why I think he kept the fight over for me. Like, he just had a touch more in the pocket. and took the fight into different avenues, which is why I thought he won the fight. But fuck it, man. What a performance. Lance Gibson knocking out Chase Hooper. Unfortunately, Chase Hooper is just I almost went early stoppage, but it was when Lance did catch him. He was rocked. He was out of it. Chase Hooper was out of it. So well done to Lance Gibson. Very emotional in his fight, post fight confidence. But yeah, good win for him. For Chase Hooper, I don't know what to make of the young man anymore. I always thought he was good, but I never thought he was at top level. And yeah, I thought he got found out again in this fight. Marcin Tybura, I skipped this one. It was a boring fight, so I just fast forwarded through it. Casey O'Neill knocking out Gabriel Fernandez in the first round. Very emotional after a win, but yeah, great performance from her. Gabriel Fernandez to knock out in the first round. Just basically blasted her with a number of combinations. Too fast, too strong, too accurate. Gabriel Fernandez had nothing for her, and she got knocked out in the first round. Well done to Casey O'Neill. Nabo Sterling knocking out Bruno Lopez. Nabo Sterling finally gets the KO, but he was always going to win this fight. He wasn't going to get the KO. He was going to win the fight in decision as well. Beautiful display of kickboxing, nice power, good ground and pound, getting Bruno Lopez out of there. Ricky Simone and Adrian Yanez. I did not watch this fight actually. I'm shocked to see that it's a draw. I'm going to watch it back to understand what happened there. And then Alexa Tayanada beating Bruno Brazil as everyone predicted. Well done to Alexia Tayanada. But yeah, guys, not a bad card overall, actually. Lots of finishes. I remember, like I said last week in the preview when I was talking to AD, like you get these fight cards, you were like, not a lot of good fights on there. But then you also could get these fights in just high-level KOs. That's what we got. So yeah, big win for Pyfer. I'm very happy that he got the job done. Not to say I want to see easy lose, it's just that, I like supporting the new guard because sports is basically a forever thing, right? It goes on forever. There's no really stop to it. So on that note, I like seeing fighters that are I like seeing the new guard because like these are the fighters who are going to support the next 5 to 10 years. You know what I'm trying to say? So that's why I'm like, I like easy, but you are of the old guard now. So I don't really want to see you stay along too long because what will happen is you're going to end up going on losers. And people are going to say, oh, he's project, he's done, he's cooked. We don't want to see that. So it's best to sort of know when it's time to pull out and say, I'm done with this fight game. I kind of want to move on to coaching or something like that, which is why I keep an eye out on up-and-comers more because these are the ones we're going to support for years to come. Give me your thoughts and opinions in the comment section, guys. Love to hear what you guys thought of this fight card. Give me a post-fight rating if you will. My post-fight rating started off as a 5. I'm taking it up to a 7.5. I thought it was a very, very good card. But what are you guys can expect for the remainder of the week? I haven't done my scheduling just yet, but as you know, as usual, Tuesdays is the UFC Fight Night. Who's the next fight card? I don't think it's going to be like that entertaining for me. I remember I was like, who is it? Oh yeah, Manny Moicano and Chris Duncan as the main event. Who else is on here? Tabitha Ricci versus Marina Jandarova. Yeah, this card is not looking alhamdulillah. Yeah, I don't know if I can commit to this. What's the time starting of this card? 2 a.m. again. Yeah, no thank you. So, but I am going to be doing a preview for you guys on Tuesdays as per usual. That doesn't mean I won't do a preview, even though I might not be interested in watching the card. Right? So we have to be on Tuesday. Wednesday will be. I'm not too sure yet. I might take the Wednesday as a day of skipping and start working on other things for our growth of our channel. Thursday, as per usual, is going to be One Friday Fights 149 preview, as well as if I was a betting man segment, it will be 9 p.m. South African time live. And then Friday, live watch along as usual at 1 South African time for One Friday Fights 149. That's what you guys can expect for the remainder of this week. From myself and Fighting with Friends team, thank you for tuning in, guys. Please like, share, and subscribe. And then we will catch you guys on the next one. Cheers, everybody.